Says you're live. Bingo. I did end it because I put the new one in. It ended. Yes. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna hit start recording as well on OBS. And do I need to take the OBS? Do I need to go back to OBS and create and go full screen on that, or no? There's a setting on OBS that says, hey, it looks all full screen to the customer, full screen. Or you're going, no, John, I could see you full screen right now if I wanted to. Perfect, awesome, perfect. We're good to go. So you're letting everybody in, right? All right. Hey, everybody. So we're good to go. Hey, everybody. How you guys doing? So, hey, really good to see everybody. Really, really good. So, hey, first off is really hope that I can help you guys on this, just from the standpoint of what we're going to try to accomplish with you. So it's interesting. I've been doing this for those of you for the first time on here. This is a light board, and actually I was speaking at NC State University a couple of years ago, and I saw some professor using this, but he was just recording, and then they would send the recordings out later. They would never do it live. So I was like, wow, this is so cool. To be able to use this thing where I'm not turning my back to you and what have you, like I only write it like you probably when you were in school. Well, so I ended up putting this in here and I started working with my clients on it. And then obviously with everything that's happened here where the whole world got turned upside down, you guys, I said, hey, what better way to really start to try to give back and try to help people in reference to just maybe through these type of formats and forms right here. So number one, welcome. Number two, I put a couple things here. Number one, technology-wise, HK stands for, housekeeping, which, by the way, just to let you know, I'll only have to do this one time, but, if I write the word sales, okay, people usually say, gosh, how did you learn how to write backwards? I'm not. This is mirroring it, so I'm really not a lefty, even though it looks like it. I'm a righty. So if I were to imitate somebody shaking hands, if I went this, it'd be a right. It looks left to you. That looks right to you, but it's my left hand. So anyway, enough of the behind the scenes Wizard of Oz, ignore the man behind the curtain thing. So anyway, technology wise, you guys, simply is that hey, if something goes out, just let you know, on the there is a 5-second delay of when I'm talking to you. So just let you know there may be a delay sometimes. But number two is technology. If something were to happen and the internet go out or something here, sit tight. If you have the alert on, that little bell alert on this, if you've subscribed, if you have the bell, if something happens, just sit tight, because when I come back, you'll get the alert right away and says, bingo, he's back on live. So for today, just the agenda is really simple, is, hey, how do you sell through crisis, number one. Number two, I'm going to take some questions here from you folks at the end. And then three, I'm going to give you a couple things that you maybe try between now and the next time we get together. One of the things I am going to begin to do, and we'll be able to notify you guys later, but is really about every Tuesday or Thursday, right around probably this time, and I may change it to 1 o'clock or it could be 12, depends on what we end up really laying out over the course of the next 4 to 8 weeks. I'm going to start doing this twice a week, and just be able to field questions and try to help you. And we're going to have different speakers. I'll have people on. I was just on the phone with a few days ago with the vice president of Apple, former vice president of Apple. He's now retired, happily retired. But I've met so many people in this journey of the training that I've done in the last 18 years of doing sales training, to you name it, the Oracles, the Googles, the SAPs, the Tommy Hilfigers, yada, yada, yada. And I've met so many really cool people, so I can't wait to really let you have exposure to them as well, and to be able to feed off their experience, their content, their everything. So when I look at selling through a crisis, let me kind of jump into this. And I referenced on the LinkedIn video, which, by the way, step one is, it might be nice if your speaker here actually knew what a date was in terms of Wednesday the 23rd. It's not the 23rd, so I messed that up, so I apologize to people. But, there's a saying here that I think we've all heard at some point in time, you guys, right? And if you haven't heard it, have you ever said to yourself, hey, stop, you stop the world, I want to get off? well, you got your wish because the world kind of stopped, right? And I think to be completely empathetic to a lot of you on the phone right now, it depends if you're a sales rep, if you be a sales manager. I know that this is really with anybody who's doing just the whole customer experience of just you're in front of customers or customer facing. At the end of the day, the world did stop. And I know that you may be getting pressure, especially if you're a sales rep. So, here's our typical org chart, okay? And here might be the president or the CEO, and then this is the VP of sales. And then from here, you have different divisions, and then down here we have sales reps. One of the things that had happened when I was doing one of these sessions for one of my clients, one of the gentlemen said, and I completely respected, he just said, hey, it's business as usual. And it's not. I think if you say that's I think you're trying to sell something to your people that you're going to lose credibility if you're a manager trying to say that. Now, let me stop by saying, when I say business as usual, there was a really cool video that I saw, I think, yesterday, because there's a lot of stuff coming out there now on Twitter and Instagram and all these places where you see some really cool stuff. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And some of you might have seen it. It showed a gentleman walking to an elevator. And it said, how things have changed. And there was a styrofoam, you might have seen it. It was like this green. So here's the elevator doors, and he's walking up towards it. And here's the buttons right here on the wall, right? There's the buttons to hit. And he walks up, and right by these buttons, right above it, there's this little green thing, and it's made of like styrofoam, and it's all these toothpicks sitting in it. And so he kind of said, hey, here's how things have changed. And he took a toothpick out, and then he hit the button with the toothpick. Then he waits for the door to open. Then he gets inside, and then he hits the bottom floor button. He hits that, and then he looks over to the right, and you see another holder, and it allows you to drop the toothpick in. And there's also another holder just like this that you can grab a toothpick if you want to go back up at some point in time. And he drops it in here. And what I love about it is that, listen, here's the elevator. We're still going to take the elevator. We're just going to have to do it differently. Well, if you're a salesperson, we're still trying to, quote, make our numbers. I get that. We're still trying to get to our numbers, our quota, whatever that may be. We just need to take a different path to get there. Okay? So, but one of the things I want to do is I want to put a little spin in this path. Here's the path that I think you're going to have to take. And listen, I'm just as positive as, well, hopefully I'm more positive than the next guy because that's my job. But one of the things that I will tell you is this, is that in numerous phone calls I've had, and I'm going to approach this at kind of a holistical level, is this. We have never, ever faced anything like this, ever. I think the whole world got pretty much caught by surprise. I really do. Anybody a month or 2 months ago, I was talking to a friend of mine this morning. I said, if you were to talk to Kobe Bryant, I know most of you all know that he passed away. If you were to tell him, if you were to come back and we go, hey, let me tell you really quickly what's going on. We shut down Los Angeles. He would laugh at you like, what are you, crazy? Just in the last month, look at the drastic changes that have happened in the world. Well, I think the thing that we're losing sight of, if you are a sales rep, so getting back to our org chart, okay, if you're here, and listen, I've had a lot of conversations with, when I say large companies, I say this for a reason because, yes, when I do look at these large companies like the Oracles and the Googles of the world, I know there's pressure coming from top down, but if you are going to sell the same way, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, you guys. Look at what's going on to you personally. Depending on where you live in the world, you can't even leave. God forbid, if you're in Italy or you're in Spain or some places that are really, really affected, you're not allowed to leave your house. You see people playing instruments from balconies. You now have an opportunity to reconnect with family. And there's a lot of different things that are going on. Well, when you look at that, the world's changed so much. If you're going to try to sell in a world today, right now, as of Wednesday, like you did a month ago, you're crazy. It's not going to work. And here's why. Look at what everybody's going through. So one of the biggest steps, one of the first steps that you need to really do is to be empathetic before you even reach out. And here's why I'm saying this, okay? These large companies I'm working with, I'm like, listen, if you are telling your reps, like, hey, business as usual, they're not buying in. You're trying to sell them a religion that's not realistic right now, number one, okay? And number two, as the rep is sitting here, okay, this is the rep, they're all making the calls. If they're trying to use the same scripts, the same methodology, that's not going to work either. Why? We have a different audience. You have a different audience. and so, when you actually call in to an organization, and yes, I know in my sales training classes, I would teach like step one, I'd call pre-call mindset. And one of the things I would say is I'd say, hey, you need to put I always say, I go, listen, you need to know what it takes to sit in that seat before you call that seat. Okay. And no matter how many times you say it, sometimes you just don't know until you really do sit in that seat. It's like talking about kids. I had this happen years and years ago at one of the largest cloud services companies on the West Coast. I'll say it was Dropbox. It was funny. I was with 50, 60 people, and I was training them, and it was forever ago. And I remember I made a joke about my kids, and no one laughed. I made a second joke about my kids, no one laughed on that. I'm like, man, it was a really young audience. I said, hey, raise your hand if you have kids. And not one person out of like 60-something people raised their hand. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I kind of made this joke. I'm like, hey, you ought to go get some kids. They're kind of cool. And everybody kind of laughed. And then some person actually even started writing that note down. I'm like, well, don't write that note down. That's just weird. Like, need some kids. I'm like, this is a really tough class. But my point is that I knew that if I stood up there and I were to talk for the next 5 hours about what it's like to have a kid, you're never going to know until you have a kid. I truly believe that's just my opinion. Okay, but it is what it is. Well, when I look at what you got to do, like I got to call and I have to call on somebody at this level, I might say you'll never know what it's like to call on that level until you are that level. Well, to an extent, kids, I think, are a completely different animal than this. You can do things to be empathetic to this person in a business world. I can look at a CIO and say, okay, a CIO, I've never been a CIO, but I know that if I were to talk to one, I'd say, hey, your number one job is to support the business. That's your number one job. That won't change no matter what's going on right now or what went on 6 months from now. That will never change. And I'm saying this for a reason. I want to make a connection with this person so he or she says, this guy gets it. She gets it. I love it. They're talking my language. So if I were to say, hey, after my introduction, I would say something like, hey, listen, I know based on your role, I know your number one job is to support the business. And hey, you're managing people, time, money, resources. I get it. That never changes. But today, now if I were to say today, a month and a half or 2 months ago, I'd say, but today you have cloud, big data, social media, mobile, digital transformation, security. I mean, the list just keeps going on. And I know one of the things I focus on is this, but right there, that whole kind of center thing I just did, hopefully that person's going, he gets it, she gets it. Well, right now, that same thing doesn't work right now. I can't go, I know you're, because I know one of the things they're juggling is how are we supporting all these people at home? But even before that step when you're reaching out, you have to do this. The empathy, you have to make it personal. If I'm you and I'm a sales rep, and I know we have hunters and we have farmers, I truly believe, and I've said this on the phone with the president this morning for an hour, I said the first step, and he was telling me as well, he goes, our first step is you have to truly understand what these people are going through. And if you're a CEO or a president and you're not having every one of your customers, if you don't reach out to every one of your customers and just get on the phone and have a conversation just like, hey, how's it going? How's your family? What changes have happened to you just in terms of obviously your kids or being at home, or now you can't go work out at the gym. I mean, you can't go to a movie theater. I mean, tell me how you've been able to adapt and just cope with what's going on. That question right there could be a half an hour answer. You know what, one of the coolest things I've done a couple of calls with some of my customers. I'll get on the phone and go, how's it going at home? It's a 40-minute call. We don't even talk about business. Listen, for those of you out there who are calling on customers, if you talk to people, okay, and you just listen and just say, hey, I wanted to reach out. There's no pitch here. There's no PowerPoint. I really am just trying to understand. I just want to go, how are you? How you doing? How's your family? How are things going? Have you reconnected with, I don't know, loved ones, what have you? Just that. Folks, I'm telling you right now, man, you do this. You're setting up for relationships for the next 10 years. I will tell you right now, I don't care what company you're with. You call up going, hi, how are you? How are things going? Great. Let me tell you about what I do. You will destroy a 10-year relationship. You'll destroy it. It's over. I'll be like, are you kidding me? I'd be like, I've had it happen right now. I was getting ready today. My phone is ringing, and I listened to the call. I didn't right now because I'm getting ready for this, but I was listening to the call going, listen to the pitch going, hi, is John there? Hi, I noticed I would like to talk. I was like, I wanted to say, I go, are you high? I mean, are you actually on drugs? That's your opening line? I mean, do you realize what's going on in the world? Really? I mean, kind of back to, the world has stopped. When you say stop, I want to get off. Well, by the way, your wish came true. It stopped. So you have no clue. And this isn't a thing that's in the States. It's not it's the entire planet. The entire planet Earth is going through this. So when you look at this, the first step is to truly be empathetic, you guys, and really sincere, and get rid of your dang quota for a second and all of that. And listen, I really hope that even what's coming down from the top down or wherever you're at, that if your company says you got to make 20 or 30, or you got to make 20 or 30 calls a day, I'd squash that. I would. You want to know why? Listen, I'd rather have you make 5 calls to current customers and each call win an hour. That's a call. Because now you're being empathetic to what's going on in the world. One of my favorite calls was just a couple of days ago with just an amazing organization. Everybody on the planet knows them. I put something on LinkedIn. It's top 3 brands in the world. And one of the managers said, John, we're here to serve, not to sell. As of right now, we just want to serve, not sell. I want you to write this down. Serve, not sell. When I heard it, I immediately went to a URL service. I reserved it. I said, I'm here to serve, not to sell. I said, here to serve, not to sell.com. I said, that is such a cool line. And I said, what do you mean by that? And what they said was, one of the challenges that we have is that reps are sometimes calling and you're getting that message that I gave to that person, like, what do you hide? Now, of course, they're all not saying that, but they're pretty much going, do you have any dose of reality of what's going on? And I think one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to get you to be empathetic and be I'm going to write this down. We're trying to get you to be a human being. I really believe that a lot of the work that you will do right now of just reaching out to people and caring and being empathetic. And oh, by the way, you should practice it. You should have 2 or 3 things written down that doesn't sound like you're fumbling through it, but also doesn't sound like you're just ripping through, let's play 30 questions. But it's like, Bob, hey, it's John Costigan. Or, hey, Mary, really, it's awesome to get a hold of you. Hey, I know you have a lot going on. I know you guys have been a long-term customer. So first, I didn't want to talk about business. I just want to say, hey, how you doing? I mean, how are things going on at home? I mean, just how are you managing this whole thing about working from home and managing your people? But even that, just how's your family? How's your family? Just that could be a 20-minute conversation. Everybody right now has a story. Everybody. I heard something cute the other day, and some of these things I'm telling you, you can use and tell those to your customers. They'll love it. I just read this thing that said, listen, right now, a lot of people around the world, they're gaining weight. You're not going to the office. Sometimes we get so busy that you have that really fast lunch. But the average person is gaining weight. And I saw this cute little thing that said, hey, make sure you put on a pair of jeans about every 3 or 4 days, because jeans won't lie. The elastic sweatpants do. Don't keep wearing sweatpants, because you will get lost and you might have gained a few pounds. Because think about what's going on to us. We've made major changes. Can't go to the club. Can't go to the gym. We want to remain indoors. It's just natural, right? So that might be a cute thing to go, hey, I heard this thing about the jeans. Put your jeans on every 4 days. You'll start to realize are you gaining weight or not. Those are little tips. And I heard that. I'm like, awesome. That's exactly what I've been doing. I said, I've been wearing jeans every day, not sweats, because I know jeans don't lie. So that, I think, is the first step you want to do, is you just want to be able to have empathy for what's going on and reaching out. Now, let's talk about people who aren't calling customers. You're talking to prospects. Okay, let's talk to prospects. The prospect world is going to be it's going to be a sensitive time for you, because you are reaching out for new business, okay? And what I will tell you is this. You're still applying the empathetic approach, you guys. You absolutely are. But if you truly own this, I'm going to write it again. If you are right now trying to serve, we're here to serve versus sell, because I'm going to be really honest with you, okay? You're going to have a hard time selling something today unless it's part of a product or a service that's reliable on the infrastructure of what's going on right now. For example, Cisco. I mean, look at their network routers and hubs, or look at Zoom technology, Zoom with conferencing, right? Or if you got something right now that, oh my gosh, the whole world needs because what we're going through, well, that's not even selling. That's just taking orders. Okay, so there's the part where you go, hey, we got to have it right now. Okay, and there's the part where you're going right here, like, are you crazy? Okay, and then there's something in the middle here, in terms of where you might be middle ground depending on what you have or what you don't have. Okay, so you're at a point right now where I want to say this to you. Please don't beat yourself up because you're not. Don't beat yourself up too bad because you're not selling like you used to. Don't kill yourself on it because the world has changed. Now, what you can do to sell, I believe you can position yourself to where when we finally come out of this, you will be a hero. One of the folks I spoke to this morning was former president of a company, said, John, every problem has a hero. And kind of like that movie that Tom Cruise did, where he said every villain has a hero. One of his Mission Impossible ones, but every villain has a hero. Well, the villain right now is coronavirus, and what it's doing to all of us. So it gives you an opportunity to be a hero. Now, let me give you a completely unique example. It has nothing to do with technology or what have you. Okay? He told me he's down in Naples. And he said, it's interesting, the restaurants down in Naples, he said there's these restaurants, he goes, a lot of the Naples restaurants here, what they're doing is they're now going to free delivery, number one. Number two, they immediately changed the front page of their website to acknowledge we know this is what's going on and we're here to help. We're not going anywhere. So, because obviously most of you all know you can't go sit down anywhere anymore, right? So you got the takeout. So like we're offering free delivery or you can go pick it up, number one. Number two, he said, oh, by the way, we give you a handwritten note. Now, let me just stop for a second. When was the last time any of you got a handwritten note by somebody? I love that. You get a handwritten note that's in the bag, and it even says this is a handwritten note that's done in a sterile environment, blah, 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 blah. Number three, you get a gift. It's called a surprise. So when you get your food, you will get a surprise in there, and you don't know what it is until you obviously get home and see what it is. That's kind of cool. And then number four, this gentleman said he recommended it to a couple of the owners, and they're doing it. Think about what the scariest thing that we all have right now going on in our lives are. Are we going to get it? Are we going to get coronavirus? Okay, well, so he said this gentleman told a couple of restaurant people, and they're like, I think they're doing it now. They're putting cameras in their kitchen. They're going, watch your meal be prepared, and you get to see the workers. So think about that. You're like, okay, that gives me a little sense of comfort knowing I can watch them make my meal, or if it's not mine, it's somebody else's meal, and I'm assuming they're making it just like mine, and they're being incredibly cautious. Look at the gloves they're wearing. Look at how they're doing it, and I'm going, game on. I love that. And if I'm not watching it, at least I know somebody else is watching it, and I thought that was brilliant. Now, so you know what happened is they were empathetic to us, and they said, well, this is the problem. What can we do to be different? Because I guarantee you, a lot of restaurants going, this sucks. No one's coming. Shut the doors. See, you have two choices, you guys. You really do. You have two. One of them is you're going to try to figure out a way and be creative, and the other one is you're going to pack it in. So if you're a sales rep, so this story means to you, what are you going to do? Are you going to figure out a way to just communicate with people and have empathy and earn your stripes? So if this is you, there's your shoulder. Earn your stripes. So when we do come out of this, you are so prepared and so above everybody else. Guys, listen, the emails I get from the people in my space, I mean, yeah, it's the oh my God, it's the Grant Cardone. It's all. I mean, I'm getting 20 emails a day from people selling me stuff. I'm like, are you crazy? You're now sending me the volume of emails you are sending me now. Do you realize how much it's turning me off from you? I'm so turned off by you because you have no sense of reality. You're still trying to hit your number. I understand we're trying to hit our number, you guys, but listen, your numbers may have a challenge in the next month or two, whatever that is, the time frame. But I really believe this is a step we need to take, because if you're going to come across like a pushy salesperson, if you did it 6 months ago, you were a pushy salesperson. You do it now, it could be the curse of death. It really could. So I think when that first step to do is to reach out with empathy, and if it's to a prospect you never done business with, I think you reach out, and the first thing you do is you talk about the elephant in the room. Absolutely. So if I'm calling on an organization and Mary picks up, I'm like, hey, Mary, this is John Costigan. And little things I do, I smile. They can hear your smile through the phone. I say, hey, Mary, it's John Costigan. I don't even say it's John Costigan with blank. If I'm you and you work for a large company, I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't say your company. I would go, hey, Mary, it's John Costigan. How are you? And she'd probably go, fine, John. How are you? Go, great. I said, listen, I know that through these difficult times, I'm calling on behalf of so-and-so. There is no pitch here. I just wanted to reach out and go, nice to talk to you. I know that things are completely upside down, and I just wanted to say, hi, nice to meet you. Number two, how the heck how the heck are things going just with just what's going on in the world in terms of how's it affecting you. I don't even say how's it affecting your business. I don't say personally. I just go, how's it affecting you? And look at the way I'm saying it. Like, how's it affecting you? As opposed to, so how's that affecting you? Like, because I got 30 more phone calls, and if you don't want to talk, I'll move on to the next one. You need to treat every call like it's the only call. Every one. It's the only call. And especially since you're on the phone on a prospecting call, you're not on video. When you're calling customers, especially if you have something scheduled, absolutely I would be on video because you get to see the person's reaction. On a prospect, you can't. But your tone and your delivery, is it caring? And I'll tell you one thing, if you were to call me and you would say, John, really nice to finally get a hold of you. I just wanted to say, hi, nice to meet you. Number two, probably not any opportunity in the near future, but maybe sometime down the road. But hey, just let me ask you, how the heck are things going just with you just now kind of being confined to not being on the road, not doing this, not doing that? I would talk to you. I absolutely would talk to you. Why? Because everybody's life has been turned upside down. So this, I just wanted to, today was about how do you sell through a crisis? I believe that you should take this and write this down somewhere and just say, you know, how do we serve and not sell? And how do I be genuine about it and not disingenuous because I got to bang out my numbers? And listen, do I think that we're going to go back to, hey, we have to bang out our numbers at some point in time? Yes, but not right now. Not right now. Not right now. I believe if you are approaching this as being opportunistic, you could kill a relationship for a long time because they won't forget. They won't forget. So to me, that's what this was about, was if you're going to call an existing client, every one of you should be on the phone with your existing clients. And and if you never talk about business, that's great. You should just be reaching out to people, thank them for the business. You know, I just kind of go, hey, number one, thanks for the business. Number two, how are things going? How are things going? How are you doing? And just listen. There's one thing I love. You guys have all heard this. You know, they've always said, hey, there's, you know, we have two eyes. I'm sorry, two eyes. Yeah, we do. Yeah, 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in proportion. And we're squashing that. You know what you're doing right now? We have 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Tell you what, you should write that number down too and write 221, and you should put serve, not sell. Honestly, if you do this, you'll separate. You know what the 221 means? We should be listening 4 times as much now and only talking 1 time as much. So it's not 2 to 1 anymore, because we've all heard the whole God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, using proportion. No, God gave us 2 eyes too. And I think for right now, the visuals we're seeing around the world, the visuals on video, on YouTube, all of it, you cannot help but not see it. So our eyes are speaking volumes more than our ears right now, you guys. So since you do have 2 eyes and 2 ears, then you should, if you're on a call for, you know, if you're on a call for whatever, an hour, you should be talking 25% of that time tops. They should be doing it the rest. Absolutely. Okay? So anyway, and I want to go off the board here a little bit as well. So with that being said, I can see you right there. So let's do this. So it's time for question time. As long as we can kind of align to this. And so I got my staff, so just that you know, I'm talking to you guys from here because the Bluetooth hooked up into the systems here. I got this going to my staff in California, 3 hours away, and they're looking at all the links in terms of what's coming in. And so now that I've done that, I'm going to kind of take a look at the screen. They're going to tell me in terms of everything that's coming in terms of questions that you may have. I'm going to look at a few here, but yeah, so go ahead. Shoot me one while I'm looking. Shoot. Great question. So listen, so let me read this to you. So right now, do you find that, you're right, I keep thinking you guys can hear or you can't. So do you find that people in a conversation, do you find people will, in the conversations like this, they'll be occupied with saving jobs versus, let me move this a little bit, versus, there I go, I can see the whole thing now. Listen, put this way, everyone has a story. I kind of back to that 4-1 now ratio instead of the 2-1 ratio. Do I find, I do find it if you are sincere and compassionate. Listen, yes, they might be looking for jobs, absolutely. And there are companies hiring, absolutely, there are. And you may have to actually take a sidetrack for a while. I mean, I know when you look at companies like Amazon or companies, I mean, they're hiring people right now because of what's going on in their business and how they're trying to support the world. So you might have to take a step. Here's the thing. I hate taking a step backwards. I do. But what I would, and this isn't, listen, I don't care what you guys do. I really don't in terms of like what you do to try to make yourself a better salesperson. I care, but it means like, I mean, like, you don't have to buy my stuff, go buy somebody else's stuff. And even when I say, hey, I'm here to serve, not to sell, when I offered my product a couple weeks ago and I discounted from 900 down to 200, I just told my whole staff, send the money back to these people. Send it back. I said, if I'm really trying to help people and serve, do not charge these people for something. I'm going to knock this down to $19. I go, I do not, that wasn't fair to those people to buy from me two weeks ago. Give the money back. And my heart, that's why I told them, I go, that's not fair. I said, if I really want to serve people, so I want to serve during a very, very difficult time. I might charge for that in a year from now? Yes. But right now, we want to help people. For you, I would absolutely say, okay, for people who lost their job, yes, there might be something you can or cannot do. I'm not sure. It depends on your skill set. But the other part I would do, and again, it's not about mine. It could be somebody else's. Go get better at whatever you do. This is the time to work on it and get better, because when the world comes back to life, man, you want to be better. I said this on a video, and it's harsh. It is. But if you look at a sales organization, an A, B, and C player, these people get cut first. The A players stay the longest, and it sucks, but it is what it is. So to me, I'm like, okay, well, if I want to get better about just basics and fundamentals and objection handling and prospecting and empathy and focusing on serving instead of selling, all that stuff, man, I'd really sharpen that axe. Because we're in a world right now, it's kind of, listen, the gentleman this morning I was speaking to, he said, John, even though everybody's home, we're still busy. And you're now juggling kids. You're doing work at the table with your daughter right now. She's doing her homework. The world has completely done a 180. I get that. So I think we have to be much more strategic. You got to be disciplined. You got to be structured. I don't think people like the word structure a lot of times, but if you are, then you get way more out of your day. But in this world right now, I would definitely focus on getting better at what you do, so when it does turn, you're really, really good. It could be, I don't care if it's interviewing skills, selling, whatever that may be. But that's what I would highly recommend. I would. You got two choices. One of them is to go this route, and one of them is to go this route. Do I believe it's human nature sometimes for people to go, I'm sorry, it should have been two. Do I think it's human nature for sometimes people to use this as an opportunity to say, see, I told you. See, I told you, because my territory, my vertigo, yes, I'm not being Johnny Raincloud. That's a fact. I believe people will sometimes use this, and in a lot of cases, rightly so, but you only have a choice at the end of the day. One of the things I tell people, you should rinse out the rag. You have a right to complain and kind of call it I won't say the B and moan, BI, whatever, that blank and moan. You can blank and moan. You can do all that stuff, and you should. But when you're done, you're done. Below the line, now you got to be above the line. Get over here, and what are we going to do about it? I think that's really important. Let me see, what else do we got here? Let me see, in regards to prospecting, how do you recommend one transitions from an empathetic conversation to securing next steps for a future meeting? Great one. So as you have empathy and the meeting comes down to the end, I think what you throw it off to them. You say, listen, so if I were to talk to Mary again and say, so Mary, listen, obviously you still are busy at home. This was a really good conversation for 20-something minutes. So I'll tell you what, I'll throw the ball back into your court. Based on the times we have right now, if you'd like to have me follow up, I will. If not, we can wait. I'll throw it off to you. How would you like to proceed? See, in the regular world, I'd say, hey, Mary, so how about based on our conversation, let's grab our calendars and let's see right there. That has to change. I don't think you say, Greg, unless that conversation from personal moved to business and then Mary was talking about things that she wanted to do, then you'd have to earn the right. Think of it as you have to earn the right to ask for that next step during this time. I think if they just talk about personal for 20 or 30 minutes and you go, great, so hey, listen, you mind if we talk next week about some bit? To me, I would throw it up to her. I would say, hey, at this point in time, really good just to connect with you. If you want me to kind of lay low, still like to check in, see if we can help. The top 2 or 3 things I'm usually asking clients right now when I'm on the phone, other than how's your family, and that could go a half an hour. If I then going to migrate into the business conversation, because usually they'll ask me, the best way to migrate it into it is this. Usually when they're talking, the 4-to-1 ratio, it then comes back to you and they go, so how are you doing, John? And I'll go into the personal part. Like, well, here's what's going on with my kids right now, and Gracie home from college and yada, yada, yada. I'll do that. And then I'll go, but, what's kind of unique in my space is that, it's just dumb luck. I happen to have virtual online training I've been doing for 2 years, and now, oh my gosh, that's all you can, it's crazy now. I said, but that's what's going on with me. And then I might go, so how's it going on in your business? So I might use my transition of personal to business to then knock it back to them in terms of business. And if they want to bite that hook, great. If not, leave it be. Leave it be. That's how I would transition that. Okay? Because they're probably going to ask you at some point in time what's going on with you. If not, then, whatever, just keep being a good listener and let them ramble on. And ramble's a strong word, but let them talk about what's going on in their life. Ramble made it sound like I'm discounting what they're saying. I'm not. Okay. We'll do a couple more here. So to say, what if you really have something that can help them through this crisis and they're not aware of how we can help? Absolutely. So you know what I love about that right there? I have one of my favorite techniques. I still believe you should reach out and be empathetic. Listen, folks, when you look at the stages of this, the stage is really simple. You should start off, your opening line should be, how the heck are you? How are you doing? No matter what question is on here, if you're going to start a conversation, you should focus on serving, not selling, and it should be empathetic, and it should be genuine, and turn off your email and your credit. You just, lock down, get a pad of paper, and just start taking notes. And just, when they're talking, you should be writing about kids. And if they reference their name, and you're like, really? Well, so when did Lisa get home from college? What's that been like? Well, I just talked to an executive today at Amazon. She goes, I got one child home and one's still far away, and she's in quarantine. I'm like, what's that going? What's that like? And that's what you want to do. So in this case, and that was done on texting immediately. That's another thing. I would definitely text people. Okay, if you want to go, hey, listen, you must be going through this. How the heck are things going? And the texting, if they start to elaborate, then you could start migrating. Go, hey, let me give you a quick shout. I got a funny story for you. Not, hey, let me give you a quick shout. I got my product. Now, to answer your question, it's always starting with empathy and trying to serve, not sell. Then at this point, let's pretend it's 20 minutes in. One of the things I'd probably do is I'd say, hey, and I might use a technique I call my biggest fear. I'm going to go, hey, so let me run something by you. Based on what you said is going on, Bob or Michelle, or Mary, whoever, I'd say, my concern is I might have something that can help you through this, but with everything going on in the world, I don't want to come across like this opportunistic, hi, let me be Johnny salesperson. I don't want to be that guy. So ball's in your court. Do you want me to tell you or not? And if they go, sure, tell me, then I just heard? I heard the green light to say, sure, let's talk business. But see how I did it? I said, hey, it's kind of funny what you just said. I might have something to help you, but I don't want to be the whole, hi, let's keep pushing a product down you because what's going on with COVID-19. See, it's very like, listen, it's all about you. And if I'm going to come across like a jerk doing this, I wouldn't want to talk to me either. But to me, to play that line, if I call in, to be candid, I don't know if I'm using this in the first 30 seconds by any stretch. I'm not. I think that does not come across well. So I think that's a great question. I'll do a couple more and we'll pretty much call it a day. Let's see, what else? Let's see, let me see. We are in a position to replace employees that are laying off. That's tough in our software. Any advice on how to transition empathy to a pitch on replacing their existing resources? Let me see. Hey, John, awesome always. What's the silver bullet to getting prospects' attention in these times? Stick to ROI, for example. Let me answer that one right there, because the other one is a little bit similar to the question I just answered. But what's the silver bullet to get people's attention in these times? To me, the silver bullet is empathy and send something that, here, put it this way, one of the things I try to write here is just to have some fun. I think when I referenced the jeans thing, or I saw, I wanted to, and with this technology, it's hard for me to transition and show you a photo on this. But I also saw something like teachers where, there's these stickers on the back of a car and it says, hey, my student, I have an excellent student at, Green Hope High School. And I saw like a mother and she was scratching off the sticker because like, I have an excellent student or I have a terrific student. And she's like, yeah, she just failed her first test because I'm teaching her. And I laughed and I saw that. I go, boy, I bet there's a lot of teachers. Let me ask you this for these people listening to me right now. Has the stock gone up on teachers right now? You're darn right, because you've now had to help being the teacher. You're probably going, man, I didn't know how much I was appreciating teachers till now. Because they sometimes, depending on their age, they're teacher and babysitter, right? And you might go, yeah, I have a senior. I think our teachers are teachers and babysitters to a senior in high school. But at the end of the day, I love humor. I love reaching out to people where it's not about the ROI. I just love want to reach out, acknowledge where we're at, thought I'd send you something funny. And I think that especially now there's some touch points, what you can do to bring a smile to somebody's face. That's why I brought this up. I love humor, clean humor. Don't say anything political. Don't say anything religious. the three topics: politics, religion, and sex. Steer clear. Okay, but right now on this part, I love sending something you think's a gotcha. It's cute, it's kind of funny, it's clean. I think those work. But to reach out and go, hey, I saw this the other day. Obviously, the world's changing. I just wanted to say hi. And hey, I'll follow up later if you ever thought there was an opportunity to even remotely just get acquainted. I keep it such a soft sale right now, and I even hate the word sale because you're really what you're doing. You're trying to serve. Now, I could also say is based on these trying times, I would always recommend it. It's interesting. My staff right here, it's interesting. I saw something on LinkedIn. It's like, hey, based on these trying times, I'm like, oh my God, everybody is starting off with that opening line. Based on these, and it says, hey, hi Bob. Based on these, and right here it's a trying, incredible, difficult, challenging, every single one, and you could pick whatever word you want to put it in. The one thing I wouldn't do is this: do not send something that looks like a template opening line. I would not do that. I would do it yourself. I would completely do it to where it's sincere, it's intimate, it's right to that person. I even say, hey Bob, wanted to reach out. Hey, FYI, I noticed you went to so and so on your link. I mean, I would reference something personal about maybe their professional LinkedIn page. Remember, if it's a prospect, you guys, I would not go to their Facebook and go, hey, I know she got 2 kids. Don't do that. That's weird. You can only stick with LinkedIn at this point. But I would truly do something that you feel is creative and intimate to get them to at least go, here's the best advice I'll give you. What do you like that you get? What's the one thing that grabs your attention? And chances are, whatever's grabbing your attention, it's probably going to grab theirs. You're like, oh, I love the opening line there. I love that. Try to find something that's intimate and human, And if you could do that, you guys, then I think you'll have a better chance of making a connection with somebody. So that's where we're at. So listen, I know we're at 45 minutes right now. We took a few questions. So anyway, by the way, I got a lot of people saying, hey, thank you, thank you, thank you. So listen, I really, this was our first one. We will continue to keep doing these. We'll choose different topics, but today was just about, I hope you write some of this down. Please spread this about the organization. Obviously, this is going to be recorded, but I really believe the message today, a quick one is this, is focus on serving. And I got a little homework here. The one thing I would, not homework, just a nice try thing here. This is it. A little try thing. Everybody wants a hero. Do me a favor. You know this restaurant story I told you? Okay. What can you do in our next session, which is probably going to be in a few days, because I know today's Wednesday. So if I don't do it by Friday, Tuesday, we're going to start right back up on this, chances are. What can you do to become a hero? What can you do to become a hero and do something unique in these times? Like, to me, that restaurant was a hero. What do you see that you can do? And I'll read off some of the hero stories of what you've done that's really cool and creative, and it was really about serving, not selling. Okay. Yes, and by the way, if you sold something, that's cool too. I'm not saying, guys, we don't want anybody to buy anything. I'm just saying this is truly the approach we need to take. But that's going to kind of be your homework between now and the next time we get together. Is who do we have for heroes? And if you want to just email, you can email at support@johncostigan.com or at Costigan Companies, either one. Support@johncostigan or CostiganCompanies.com. And we're going to collect these, and then we will read them off. We'll pick out the best ones in terms of what you might have done between today and the next day to really do something different, to really move the needle and serve instead of just sell. I hope this helped everybody. Take this, put it on your cube. I say your cube, you're not at work. Put it on your desk, put it somewhere, make a little note, put a Post-it. Do this right here and be genuine. That's the other thing. Put some stickers around you where you're working, and you'll see them, and you will do them more. Out of sight, out of mind, you'll forget. Put them in front of you, and you'll be amazed at how much you'll start changing the tone and the content of your conversations. Hey, really good talking to you guys. This is our first one. We'll see you next week. And thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. See ya. And be safe. Be healthy.